Every human being carries within them a light, but alongside that light, there exists a darker companion, an unseen presence, often ignored, sometimes feared. This hidden part of you is what many would call the shadow. It contains the feelings you suppress, the desires you deny, the thoughts you push away because they do not fit the image you present to the world. Most spend their lives running from this shadow. They seek to bury it beneath accomplishments, respectability, or distraction. But in truth, the shadow does not disappear simply because you look away. It waits quietly for you to turn toward it with courage. The paradox of life is this: what you fear most about yourself is often the very key to your purpose. The shadow holds your unlived life, the talents you never claimed, the passions you once silenced, the truths you dared not speak. What seems dark or forbidden is, in reality, the raw energy of your soul, waiting to be transformed into meaning. Think for a moment. Why do you feel drawn to certain struggles? Why do particular obstacles repeat themselves in your life? Why do you feel that silent weight when you are alone? These are not accidents. They are signals. The shadow is trying to teach you something. Within every weakness lies the seed of strength. Within every fear lies the path to freedom. To discover your life's purpose, you must begin by acknowledging what you have long denied. Ask yourself, what parts of me am I most afraid to show? What emotions do I repress? What dreams have I called impossible? There, in the answers you hesitate to admit, lies the map to your destiny. It is not perfection that makes a human whole. Wholeness is born when light and shadow are embraced together. The journey of purpose is not about escaping your darkness, but about transforming it into a source of wisdom. The anger you once hid can become courage. The insecurity you buried can become compassion. The wound you carry can become the gift you offer the world. The shadow is not your enemy. It is your most honest teacher. It is the mirror that reveals the truth of who you are. And when you dare to face it, when you bring its hidden energy into the light of awareness, you awaken to your true path. So do not run from your shadow. Walk toward it. Listen to its whispers. Let it show you the pieces of yourself you have abandoned. For when you embrace the shadow, you embrace your wholeness. And in that wholeness, you will discover not only who you are, but why you are here. The shadow holds hidden potential, and most people spend their lives unaware of this truth. They run from the darker parts of themselves, believing that what is repressed is dangerous, shameful, or meaningless. Yet the irony is that within these very depths, where fear and rejection reside, there lies the richest source of untapped strength. The shadow is not simply a container of flaws, it is a reservoir of life, a storehouse of power and creativity waiting to be acknowledged. Think of the moments in your life when you felt an urge that you quickly silenced because it did not match the image you wanted others to see. Think of the passions you buried because you thought they were impractical, the dreams you abandoned because you feared failure, the emotions you locked away because they made you feel weak. All of these fragments of yourself did not vanish. They slipped quietly into the shadow, but their energy did not disappear. Instead, it waits, pressing against the walls of your consciousness, appearing as restlessness, anxiety, or even unexplained longing. That unsettled feeling that you are meant for more is often nothing more than your own shadow calling you back to wholeness. What you deny in yourself does not become weaker. It becomes stronger in silence. A person who represses anger may believe they have conquered it, but in reality, the anger grows like a storm beneath the surface, shaping their relationships and choices in subtle ways. The one who hides their vulnerability may seem strong, but in truth, they cut themselves off from intimacy and compassion. And the one who refuses to acknowledge their desire for greatness may live humbly, yet carry a quiet resentment toward life. The shadow never leaves you. It is the silent companion walking beside you, waiting for you to turn and recognize its presence. The paradox is that the very qualities you hide may be the exact qualities you need to live out your purpose. Imagine the person who suppresses anger because they fear conflict. In that hidden anger lies the seed of courage and the ability to stand for justice. Consider the one who hides sensitivity out of fear of being hurt. Within that sensitivity lives the gift of empathy and the power to heal others. What appears to be darkness is often misunderstood light, cloaked and disguised until the moment you are willing to claim it. Your shadow contains not only pain, but also your unlived potential. It is the artist's voice you silenced because you were told creativity has no value. It is the leader you never became because you believed you were unworthy of guiding others. It is the lover you hid away because vulnerability seemed dangerous. Every time you turned away, a piece of your destiny was tucked into the shadows. If you want to know why you sometimes feel incomplete, it is because part of you still waits in the dark, longing for integration. To face the shadow is to take responsibility for the fullness of your humanity. This is not an easy path. It requires courage to admit that you are more than the polished image you present to the world. It requires honesty to confront desires that may not fit neatly into your identity, and it requires humility to see that the flaws you despise may, in fact, be the doorway to your purpose, but the reward is freedom. For when you face the shadow, you are no longer controlled by it. You reclaim its energy, and in doing so, you step into the wholeness of your being. Purpose does not arise from rejecting who you are. It comes from embracing every part of yourself. The light is meaningful only when it shines upon the darkness. When you integrate the shadow, the gifts hidden within it become available to you. The anger becomes courage. The fear becomes wisdom. The insecurity becomes compassion. The darkness becomes the soil in which your life's purpose grows. Do not make the mistake of believing that your highest self is found only in perfection. It is not. Perfection is an illusion that keeps you chained to inadequacy. Your highest self is found in authenticity, and authenticity requires the union of both shadow and light. When you stop running from the parts of yourself that frighten you, you begin to see that they are not monsters, but neglected children longing for acceptance. They do not want to destroy you, they want to be heard. The journey of discovering your purpose begins not by chasing external achievements, but by looking inward. Ask yourself, what qualities in others irritate me the most? What emotions do I fear to express? What dreams do I secretly carry but feel too unworthy to pursue? The answers to these questions point directly to your shadow, and within that shadow lies the blueprint of your destiny. Many search the world for meaning, traveling far and wide, only to return empty-handed. The truth is, you need not travel outward to find your purpose. It is already within you, hidden in the parts you have ignored. It is waiting in your shadow. The very thing you thought was holding you back is the very thing that will propel you forward, if only you have the courage to claim it. Your shadow is not a prison, it is a treasure chest. And the key to opening it is acceptance. To accept does not mean to indulge in destructive behavior. It means to recognize the hidden message behind every emotion and every suppressed desire. It means to ask, what is this part of me trying to teach me? What gift is concealed here? When you approach your shadow with curiosity instead of fear, you begin to unlock its wisdom. In the end, your shadow holds the pieces of you that you need in order to become whole. And wholeness is the foundation of purpose. To live a life of meaning, you must live a life of integration. The darkness within you is not the enemy of your destiny, it is the doorway to it. Step into that doorway, not with fear, but with the understanding that what you once rejected is what will ultimately make you complete. Your fears are not enemies to be destroyed. They are guides leading you toward the very purpose of your life. Fear arises wherever something deeply important is at stake. It shows up at the edge of change, at the threshold of growth, at the door of what is most meaningful. If you pay attention, you will notice that the things you fear most are often the things that carry the greatest power to transform you. Think about it. Why do you fear speaking your truth? Because deep down you know it carries weight, and if you release it into the world, your life may never be the same. Why do you fear pursuing a dream? Because you sense that the dream has the power to reshape your identity, and with that change comes the possibility of rejection, failure, or loss. Fear does not surround what is trivial. It surrounds what is essential. If it scares you, it matters. Most people spend their lives avoiding fear. They build routines, identities, and safe zones to keep themselves away from discomfort. But in doing so, they also wall themselves off from their destiny. For every fear you avoid a doorway into your purpose. The job you never applied for because you felt unqualified. The conversation you never had because you feared conflict. The art you never created because you feared judgment. Each of these was an invitation disguised as fear. By walking away from them, you walked away from pieces of yourself. Fear is a compass. It points directly to where growth is waiting. Instead of asking, "How can I eliminate my fear?" ask, "What is my fear trying to show me?" The moment you change your relationship with fear, you see it differently. It is no longer a barrier, but a signpost, indicating the path that matters most. The fear of failure, for example, is not a command to stop. It is a signal that you are standing on the edge of possibility. Failure is not the opposite of purpose. It is part of the path to it. Every person who has found meaning has walked through fear of failure countless times. If you let that fear paralyze you, you will never know the strength that lies on the other side. The fear of rejection is another powerful guide. It often reveals the truth that connection and acceptance are vital to you. But rejection also teaches that your worth is not dependent on the approval of others. By facing this fear, you discover that the voice you were so afraid to use is, in fact, the very instrument through which your purpose will be heard. Even the fear of death, the deepest of all fears, is a teacher. It reminds you that life is fleeting and precious, that your time is limited, and that every moment wasted in hesitation is a moment lost forever. This fear awakens urgency, calling you to live fully, to create, to love, and to leave something behind that carries meaning. To walk toward your purpose, you must learn to walk with fear, not as a tyrant that controls you, but as a companion that guides you. Fear does not vanish when you ignore it. It grows stronger in silence. But when you face it directly, when you say, "I see you, and I will walk forward anyway," fear loses its power to control you. It becomes energy, fuel for your transformation. Consider this truth. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action in the presence of fear. Every meaningful act in history was carried out by someone who felt fear, but did not let it dictate their choices. The hero feels fear. The artist feels fear. The teacher, the healer, the dreamer, they all feel fear. What makes them different is that they listen to fear as a guide instead of a master. If you look closely at your life, you will see a pattern. The moments when you felt most alive, most aligned with yourself, were the very moments when you did something that scared you, speaking words you thought you could never speak, stepping into situations you thought you could never handle, saying yes when fear screamed no. Those were the moments your purpose revealed itself, and those moments came not because fear disappeared, but because you chose to walk through it. Purpose lives on the other side of fear. It is as if life has placed a guardian at the gates of meaning, and that guardian's name is fear, not to keep you out, but to make sure you are ready. If you can stand before your fear and walk through it, you prove to yourself that you are prepared to hold the responsibility of purpose. For purpose is not light, it is weight. It requires strength, humility, and resilience. Fear is the training ground that builds these qualities within you. So when fear rises in your life, do not shrink back. Instead, lean in and ask, what is this fear pointing toward? What possibility is it guarding? What strength is it asking me to uncover? Every fear is an arrow pointing toward growth. Do not wait for a fearless life, for it will never come. Do not believe that only the brave and gifted are meant for greatness. The truth is, greatness belongs to those who feel fear and still move forward. It belongs to those who recognize fear as a guide and choose to follow its direction into the unknown. In the end, your fears are not obstacles but invitations. They are reminders that you are standing at the threshold of something that matters. To live with purpose is to accept this truth. Fear will always walk with you, but it does not have to lead you. You are the one who leads, and fear is simply the whisper that tells you you're on the right path. Repeating struggles are never accidents. Life does not place the same obstacle in your path again and again by coincidence. The truth is that what repeats itself carries a message, and that message is meant for you. Each recurring difficulty, each familiar pain, each cycle that seems to return no matter how far you run, it all points to something unresolved within you, something essential that you have not yet understood. These struggles are not punishments. They are signals, guiding you toward the lessons you must embrace to uncover the deeper purpose of your life. Think of your life as a dialogue between your conscious self and the forces of the unconscious. The conscious mind seeks progress, comfort, success, and safety, but the unconscious seeks wholeness. When you resist a truth about yourself, when you avoid a lesson that must be learned, life has a way of circling you back to it. The people may change, the setting may change, but the pattern remains. You find yourself facing the same disappointments in relationships, the same challenges in work, the same emotional wounds surfacing again and again. These repetitions are not meaningless. They are mirrors, reflecting the inner work you have not yet done. Many people spend their lives blaming fate or luck for these recurring struggles. They say, "Why does this always happen to me? Why do I attract the same kind of pain?" But the answer lies not outside of you, but within. Life repeats the lesson until it is learned. The cycle continues until you have the courage to step out of it by facing the truth it is trying to reveal. For example, if you find yourself repeatedly surrounded by people who do not value you, it is not simply the world conspiring against you. It may be that within you exists a shadow of self-doubt, an unhealed wound that believes you are unworthy of respect. Until you bring that wound into the light and heal it, you will unconsciously seek out situations that reflect it back to you. The repetition is life's way of insisting, "See this, learn from this, grow through this." Or perhaps you constantly face failure when you dare to pursue something meaningful. At first, it may seem like the world is simply unkind, but look deeper. The repeated failure may be urging you to strengthen your resilience, to refine your vision, to let go of pride and embrace humility. The lesson is not that you are incapable, but that you are being shaped. Life sharpens you through repetition, the way a blade is sharpened by stone. Even your deepest emotional struggles are signals. Anxiety that arises again and again is not there to torment you. It is there to alert you that you are living against your true nature. Depression that pulls you down repeatedly is not a punishment. It is a message that something vital within you has been neglected. Anger that erupts in cycles is not just destructive. It is a force that is demanding to be acknowledged and transformed into courage. These emotions return because they are not finished teaching you. The key is to stop running from these patterns and to begin listening to them. Each struggle carries a question. What does this pain want me to see? What part of myself is reflected in this cycle? What am I being asked to change? When you shift from resistance to curiosity, the repetition begins to make sense. The pattern is not against you, it is for you. It is an arrow pointing to the work that will free you. There is no growth without struggle, and there is no purpose without growth. Your life's calling is not something handed to you in comfort. It is revealed in the very battles you face again and again. The things you suffer most may be the very things you are meant to heal, not only in yourself, but for others. The one who has struggled with rejection may be called to help others find belonging. The one who has wrestled with fear may be destined to guide others toward courage. The one who has endured pain may carry the gift of compassion that no easy life could ever create. Repeating struggles are the forge of destiny. Each return of the pattern is like the strike of a hammer, shaping you into who you are meant to become. You may resent it, you may wish to escape it, but if you face it, if you engage with it, you will emerge stronger, clearer, and more aligned with the truth of who you are. Purpose does not grow in the absence of struggle. It grows through the transformation of it. Do not believe that you are cursed because life repeats its lessons. Understand instead that you are deeply loved by existence itself, so much so that life refuses to let you remain asleep. It will not let you wander endlessly in forgetfulness. It brings you back, again and again, to the same place, not to break you, but to awaken you. Each repetition is mercy disguised as hardship, because without it, you would remain blind to your true path. The moment you finally see the meaning behind a repeated struggle, something shifts. The cycle ends, not because the world outside has changed, but because you have changed. What once triggered you no longer has power. What once hurt you no longer defines you. What once confused you now makes sense. And in that moment, you step onto the path of your purpose with clarity, because you are no longer running from the lessons that give it shape. So the next time you find yourself saying, "Why does this keep happening to me?" pause and listen. Ask yourself, what is this struggle trying to reveal? What truth am I avoiding? What strength is this shaping within me? The answer you receive may be uncomfortable, but it will also be liberating. Because in the end, your struggles are not obstacles blocking the road to your purpose. They are the road itself. Walk it with awareness, and it will lead you exactly where you are meant to be. Wholeness comes from integration, not from perfection. Too many people chase the illusion of perfection, believing that if they can cut away their flaws, erase their weaknesses, and silence their darker impulses, they will finally become worthy of happiness and purpose. But this pursuit only leads to exhaustion, because perfection is an illusion. What makes a human being whole is not the absence of flaws, but the union of every part of the self, both the light that shines brightly and the shadows that hide in silence. You were not born to be flawless. You were born to be real, to be complete, to be a total expression of your inner truth. To live authentically means to hold within yourself the contradictions that make you human, the kindness and the anger, the love and the fear, the confidence and the doubt. When you deny any part of yourself, you create division inside, and that division becomes suffering. But when you integrate every part, when you accept both your light and your shadow, you discover peace, strength, and clarity. That is wholeness. The shadow within you, the parts you reject, contain hidden gifts. Anger holds the energy of courage. Fear holds the wisdom of caution. Insecurity holds the seed of compassion. Even your wounds carry potential. They are the soil in which your deepest strengths can grow. But none of this can be unlocked if you remain at war with yourself. As long as you try to split your nature into good and bad, acceptable and unacceptable, you will remain incomplete. Integration is the act of saying, "Everything within me belongs here. I do not need to cut pieces away. I need to weave them together." Imagine a tree. Its beauty does not lie only in its leaves, which face the sun. Its strength also lies in the roots, buried deep in the dark soil. If the tree rejected its roots because they are hidden, tangled, and dirty, it would wither and die. In the same way, if you reject your shadow, your inner roots, you will never stand strong in the light. Wholeness comes when you accept that your roots and your branches are part of the same being, and that your darkness and your light are not enemies but partners in growth. Integration is not easy. It demands honesty. It asks you to face the parts of yourself you would rather hide, the anger you pretend you do not feel, the envy you try to cover with politeness, the wounds you bury under a smile. To integrate means to bring these into awareness, to look at them without judgment, to say, "This too is me." When you do this, something powerful happens. The energy you once wasted in hiding and suppressing becomes available to you. The shame turns into wisdom. The hidden impulses transform into creativity. The weakness becomes a doorway to strength. True purpose arises only when you are whole. If you live only from your light, you become shallow, disconnected from the depths of your being. If you live only from your shadow, you become lost in confusion and despair. But when you unite both, you live authentically. You stand grounded, strong, and real. Your purpose is not to be the perfect image of light, but to be the complete expression of your humanity. Only when you are whole can you discover what you are here to give to the world. Think of the people you admire most. They are not perfect. They have scars. They have struggles. They have contradictions. Yet it is precisely because they have faced their darkness and integrated it that they shine with authenticity. Their presence is magnetic, not because they have no flaws, but because they have accepted them and transformed them. Wholeness has a power that perfection can never create. When you strive for perfection, you hide from the truth. You become afraid of mistakes, afraid of judgment, afraid of being exposed. This fear suffocates your potential. But when you embrace wholeness, you no longer fear being seen because you have already seen yourself. You know your light and your shadow, and you accept them both. You can stand before the world as you truly are, without masks, without shame, without fear. That is freedom. The journey to integration begins with awareness. Pay attention to what triggers you, to the qualities in others that irritate you, to the emotions you try to suppress. These are mirrors of your own hidden self. Instead of pushing them away, invite them in. Ask, what is this part of me trying to teach me? How can I honor its energy in a healthy way? Slowly, piece by piece, you begin to reclaim the parts of yourself you abandoned. Slowly, the scattered fragments of your soul return home. Wholeness is not something you achieve once and for all. It is a lifelong journey. There will always be new shadows to face, new contradictions to integrate, new wounds to heal. But every step you take toward integration brings you closer to your true self. Each act of acceptance expands your strength. Each moment of honesty deepens your authenticity, and each layer of wholeness reveals more clearly the purpose of your life. Do not strive to be perfect. Strive to be whole. Perfection is a mask that isolates you from reality. Wholeness is a union that connects you to life. Perfection breeds anxiety because it can never be reached. Wholeness brings peace because it accepts everything. Perfection is brittle, easily shattered by the smallest flaw. Wholeness is unshakable because it includes both your flaws and your strengths. The meaning of your life will not be found in chasing an impossible image of purity. It will be found in the courage to embrace yourself completely. When you stand in the fullness of who you are, light and shadow together, you radiate authenticity, and in that authenticity lies the power to live your purpose and to inspire others to do the same. So do not reject your darkness. Do not cling desperately to your light. Instead, bring them together. Integrate them into one complete self. For it is only when the fragments of your soul unite that you can step fully into your destiny. Wholeness is not the end of the journey. It is the path itself. And when you walk this path, you will discover the deepest truth, that everything you once thought was broken in you was simply waiting to be made whole. Every emotion you carry, no matter how dark or uncomfortable it feels, holds within it the potential for transformation. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be changed, and the same law applies to your inner life. Anger, fear, pain, insecurity, these forces are not meaningless burdens placed upon you. They are raw energies that, when acknowledged and transformed, become courage, wisdom, compassion, and strength. The very emotions you try to escape are the materials out of which your destiny is shaped. Consider anger. Most people view anger only as destructive, something to be suppressed or hidden. Yet beneath anger lies a fiery force, an energy that demands action. When anger is denied, it turns inward as bitterness or erupts outward in violence. But when anger is transformed, it becomes the courage to defend what matters, the passion to fight for justice, the determination to break free from what holds you down. Anger is not your enemy. It is your untamed fire. If you learn to channel it, it becomes one of your greatest strengths. The same is true of fear. Fear paralyzes when it is misunderstood. It makes you shrink. It convinces you that you are too small, too weak, too unworthy. But fear carries wisdom. It alerts you to danger, yes, but more than that, it shows you where your growth lies. Fear marks the edges of your comfort zone, the boundaries you must cross to become more than you are. When you transform fear, it becomes guidance. It teaches caution, discernment, and respect for the unknown. It points to the exact places where your soul is calling you to expand. Pain, too, is an energy that demands transformation. Pain isolates you when you resist it. It feels meaningless, heavy, unbearable. But when you face it, when you allow yourself to enter its depths, you discover that pain softens the heart. It creates compassion. It opens a doorway to connection with others who suffer. The deepest healers are not those who have avoided pain, but those who have transformed it into love, service, and understanding. What once felt like a wound becomes the very gift you offer to the world. Even insecurity, so often seen as weakness, carries hidden power. Insecurity reveals your longing to grow, to improve, to become more than you are. If you suppress it, it turns into envy or self-hatred. But if you transform it, it becomes humility, openness, and empathy. Insecurity teaches you to listen, to learn, to see others not as threats but as mirrors. It can deepen your humanity, reminding you that you are not above others, but walking the same path with them. The transformation of energy begins with acceptance. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. The more you deny your darker emotions, the more power they gain over you. Suppression is not strength. It is fear of the self. Strength comes from turning toward your emotions with honesty and curiosity. Ask yourself, what is this anger trying to tell me? What is this fear pointing me toward? What is this pain teaching me? What does this insecurity reveal about my true desires? When you ask these questions, the energy begins to shift. Transformation also requires patience. You cannot rush the process. Just as fire refines metal slowly, your emotions refine you over time. The key is not to force them into something they are not, but to allow them to unfold their hidden purpose. Sit with your feelings, breathe into them. Do not judge them as good or bad. Simply allow them to reveal the message they carry. In this way, what once felt like a curse becomes a teacher. The beauty of this process is that nothing within you is wasted. Every emotion, every struggle, every flaw becomes fuel for growth. The energy of your life is never lost. It is always waiting to be transformed. Even your mistakes can be reshaped into wisdom. Even your failures can become the foundation of resilience. Even your darkest nights can be turned into the soil where your greatest light grows. This is why no part of you should be rejected. The parts you hate the most are often the ones carrying your greatest potential. They appear as enemies because they are misunderstood. They frighten you because they are powerful. But when you embrace them, when you take their energy and channel it into purpose, you realize they were never here to destroy you. They were here to awaken you. Imagine for a moment what your life would be if every dark emotion you carried was transformed into strength. If your anger became courage, if your fear became wisdom, if your pain became compassion, if your insecurity became empathy, you would no longer live in conflict with yourself. You would live in wholeness, every part of your being contributing to your growth. This is not a dream, it is the possibility that exists within you right now. The path to purpose is not a straight line of light. It winds through shadow, through fear, through sorrow, but each of these shadows carries energy that can be transformed. The question is not whether you will face darkness. The question is whether you will allow it to change you. If you resist, you remain trapped. If you embrace it, you emerge stronger, wiser, and more alive. Life is not asking you to be free of anger, fear, pain, or insecurity. It is asking you to transform them, to take the raw energy of your emotions and mold it into meaning, to become an alchemist of the soul, turning darkness into light, wounds into wisdom, and struggle into strength. In the end, the transformation of energy is the secret to living with purpose. It teaches you that nothing within you is wasted, that every emotion is a doorway, that every shadow is a gift in disguise. When you live this truth, you are no longer afraid of what you feel. You no longer see your struggles as enemies. You see them as the very forces shaping you into who you are meant to be. And in that realization, you discover the power to live not as a victim of your emotions, but as the master of their transformation. The shadow is a teacher, not an enemy. For most of your life, you have likely been taught to fear it, to bury it, to silence it. The shadow is made up of the parts of yourself you do not want to see. The emotions you have been told are unacceptable, the desires you have judged as shameful, and the impulses you have worked hard to suppress. It is the side of you that feels dangerous because it threatens the image you present to the world. And yet, the great mistake is believing that this shadow exists to harm you. In truth, it exists to teach you. The shadow is the most honest part of you. While the mask you wear tries to please others, while your persona tries to maintain control, the shadow speaks the truth of what you really feel, what you really long for, what you really fear. It does not lie. It may speak in difficult ways. It may come through anger, jealousy, insecurity, or fear. But behind every expression of the shadow is a message, see me, hear me, learn from me. The shadow will not be ignored. When you push it down, it rises in your dreams, in your conflicts, in your repeated struggles. When you silence it, it speaks louder through your anxiety, through your relationships, through the situations you cannot seem to escape. Its only purpose is to get your attention, not to punish you, but to guide you. If you treat the shadow as an enemy, you declare war on yourself. You divide your inner world into good and bad, worthy and unworthy, acceptable and shameful. But division brings suffering. You become trapped in endless conflict, trying to silence what will never be silenced. The more you fight the shadow, the stronger it grows. But if you begin to see it as a teacher, everything changes. The conflict becomes dialogue, the shame becomes curiosity, the fear becomes guidance. What once felt like a monster becomes a messenger. Every shadow holds a lesson. Anger teaches you where your boundaries are. Envy shows you what you secretly desire but have not yet claimed as your own. Fear points to the places where you are meant to grow. Sadness reveals what your heart values most deeply. Even destructive impulses carry wisdom, showing you the wounds you must heal and the needs you must address. Nothing in the shadow is meaningless. Every part of it is a teacher, waiting for you to stop judging and start listening. The shadow teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not as perfect as you pretend to be, that you are still unfinished, still human, still growing. But this humility is not weakness. It is strength. For only when you accept your flaws can you begin to grow beyond them. Only when you admit your darkness can you step into the light with honesty. The shadow strips away your illusions and brings you face to face with your real self. The shadow also teaches compassion. When you acknowledge the darkness within you, you stop condemning it in others. You begin to understand that everyone carries pain, everyone hides fear, everyone struggles with impulses they do not understand. This recognition softens your heart. Instead of judging, you empathize. Instead of condemning, you connect. By listening to your shadow, you become more human, and in becoming more human, you become more capable of love. Most importantly, the shadow teaches wholeness. It shows you that you cannot reject any part of yourself if you wish to be complete. Wholeness is not about being pure light. It is about bringing both light and dark into harmony. The shadow shows you the parts of yourself you have abandoned and invites you to reclaim them. In doing so, you gather the missing pieces of your soul. The very things you tried to exile return as gifts, and you discover that you are far stronger and more complete than you ever imagined. The path to integration begins with listening. Do not run from your shadow. Do not cover it with noise or distraction. Instead, turn toward it and ask, "What are you trying to show me? What truth are you holding that I have ignored? What part of me is hidden here?" At first, the answers may be uncomfortable. They may reveal desires you are ashamed of, fears you wish to deny, memories you hoped to forget. But if you stay with them, if you face them with courage, you will find that beneath the pain lies wisdom, and beneath the darkness lies light. The shadow is not a prison. It is a guide. It does not want to control you. It wants to awaken you. It is like a stern teacher who seems harsh, but whose lessons ultimately set you free. When you stop treating the shadow as an enemy, you stop being afraid of yourself. You realize that everything within you, even the parts you dislike, belongs to your journey. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Every piece of you is part of the story of who you are becoming. Purpose cannot be found by rejecting half of yourself. It can only be found by embracing your wholeness, and the shadow is the doorway to that wholeness. The shadow is not against your destiny. It is the path to it. Every lesson it teaches you brings you closer to your truth. Every message it delivers reveals another piece of your purpose. The shadow is not here to destroy you. It is here to complete you. So when the shadow rises, do not run. Sit with it. Listen to it. Learn from it. Let it show you what you have hidden, what you have feared, what you have abandoned, and then let it guide you back to yourself. For the greatest teacher you will ever know is not outside of you, but within. It is the shadow whispering, "I am not your enemy. I am your path to becoming whole."